Okay. We're going to try this again, folks, in a community podcast, The Gathering of Eagles. We were hacked by unpleasant forces, so I'm sorry we're starting a bit late. But these things are going on right now, so I guess we just have to deal with them. We will try some new efforts to make sure we're blocking that sort of thing next week before we come on, and we'll see what happens from there. We're also going to set something up so people coming on will have a list, and we can compare the list to people in the waiting room. So again, we apologize. Hey Mel, do you want to recap your opening prayer?
Creator, we come before you this day, giving thanks and gratitude for another good day. And we thank you for this gathering, that we can come to this circle and be here together as one, where we learn and we grow together. And with that knowledge, we're able to share as one. I hope.
Thank you.
And if I may,
Okay.
little frequency to
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah. Clean the.
And this is pre-night with epidote. Heal the healer. Okay. Calling in the angels.
Okay. I have a feeling one thing that happened, because Chris and now Valerie said there was another meeting in progress. I don't think it picked up. I checked off my usual personal account, but I think it went and just pulled up a generic. So I'm not sure what to do about that, since others will probably show up. Hopefully they'll message me, or one of us. Oh, yeah. This is quite interesting.
I had that same message earlier. It said another meeting was in progress when I initially tried to get on.
It did. Yeah, it's probably what it did then. All right, I'm going to go to, dang it. Well, at least I'll go to the Gathering of Eagles group and put the. I just copied it. What's actually there. Somehow it just seems perfect for what's going on. Why won't it let me change this? All right, I went and redid that anyway. So, this is interesting, that's for sure. And the Pine Ridge group, they're back, okay. So while we were having these problems, our group in Pine Ridge had their phone go down. They're on a different phone now. So technology is after us today. Okay, so now where do we start? Well, where do we go next, I guess?
Well, I can start. I can tell you what today's energy has really been about grace and laying down our weapons. That's been kind of what I've been feeling and hearing, and it just feels as if allowing and trusting. Last night I was talking about this. I drew the letter F, and that's what was coming, and it was like we could go down these different paths. We can go, and it was just faith or fear. Which way are we going to go? I know this week was historical. That we've had the largest occupied protests in U.S. history.
Yeah. Yeah, we sure did. And that's where the youth council went as well. So that's good, that ties in. So their first comment was, and they don't mean it in any negative way, but non-native people are starting to understand what native people went through and still go through. And that's an excellent point. Yeah. Yes, and this is not negative. It's just so we all come from the same place. Okay. And so they're asking how we move ahead with all this. And what does 9 million people mean? From what I'm seeing from folks who are feeding back to us, it was probably more than that, because I don't think they counted a whole lot of the small groups. All the large groups they did. And there was another 4 or 5 million in Europe, which is really interesting. Some wanting peace, some a little different, but it's all the same thing, in my mind. So guys, what are you asking there? Okay, they couldn't really go to anything there because the towns there are not, it could have gotten ugly. Okay, yeah, I figured that. But energetically, some of them were doing ceremony while it was going on. That's nice. That's good. It's good to see all the people come together. Isn't that part of the prophecy? Yeah, sure is. Prophecies I was taught is all the colors had to come together and each share their part. And actually, part of Black Elk's teaching, same thing. And what he saw, the visions he saw. Hey, Valerie, welcome back.
Hey, made it in.
Yeah, I don't even know, couldn't even tell where it came from this time. Yeah, so that is a lot of people. And that's people, I don't know what you all experienced. I went and walked a while at one of the rallies near me, and then I visited 4 others. We must have had a dozen different rallies here. And that's what I mean. I know they haven't counted them all up yet. Everything from one small one, I saw like 30 people, to one in Sedona, which is fairly small population, had about 800 people. So, and it was quite diverse. The groups were diverse. So all that is causing us to look at things differently, to come together. At least in this. We're still going to have a lot of disagreements, I'm sure. So that's my thought. I even saw, I really respected this. There's a pretty good ice presence around here because Arizona is still, most of it is still red, although it's starting to turn purple. So the Mexican population has been really keeping to itself, staying home pretty much, and some churches are working with them. But in this case, I saw a number of Mexican people in the marches. That really, that takes courage, because I'm sure all the marches were being watched, probably videotaped, whatever else. So, yeah, shout out to those folks. Who wants a talking stick in the middle?
I'll I'll share a little bit about, my experience. What was exciting to me is there were so many, just starting from 10 a.m. in the morning till like all the way to into the evening and into the next day. There was other groups going on. So it everywhere from and of course a lot of
Okay,
town runners.
you were off for a minute. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm at a cabin and the internet's kind of spotty. Sorry about that. So, just it was several, just every little community. That was what was different, I think, this time. Um, and of course, I know you guys probably heard about the village in Florida, which I talked to a friend in Florida. She said yes. She said there were thousands. I was like, you've got to be kidding. I can't even imagine. She said they lined up all their golf courts out, carts out there. And I don't know if you all know, but that's just historically totally red, and that changed, that flipped. So big things are happening, you guys. Talking stick in the middle.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and that's beyond red. That's red on red on red. They're Trumpers at an extreme level, and even they're getting fed up. We actually have tomorrow. We're doing a global drumming, and we actually have a drum circle from the village there that signed up, and that's a first. Davida, anyone know? Yeah, we definitely got to do what you said next week, Melissa. Do we risk it?
What is the name?
It looks like Davida. It could be David A's something too.
I think not.
Okay. Okay.
Not
One.
Chris Dita.
No. Davida.
Personally, I don't recognize that name. Does
I don't
anyone
either.
else?
No, I don't
Okay.
either. Unless they come out of the group, because I went to the group and put the proper link up. And there's no comment there. So, okay, we'll pass. If they want to, they can message one of us who they are, and then we can go from there. So yeah, I mean that's really a first, and of course now the center of the negativity, Mar-a-Lago, has a Democratic representative, which I find hilarious as well. So yeah, things are definitely shifting, and that doesn't mean that I'm real happy about Democrats either. I don't like any of the system, but we got to start by first the cancer has to be taken care of, and then we go and do even more, in my opinion. Yeah, what else? I saw a number of people out there Saturday with various disabilities as well. A lot of, not a lot, but a number of wheelchair-bound folks. Some using a cane like I am now. And that was good to see because that takes a little more too. So that was really good. And our online group was getting constant feeds all day from all over the place, mostly all over the U.S., but also some from around the globe. So it's a huge way. It's funny. I never thought when I was being taught 30 years ago plus how the awakening would be. I never thought it would be electronic in a virtual realm. But here it is, and of course it makes sense because that's where we are now.
You made me think of a question I had, Jim,
Mm-hmm.
which was, I know that there's the condor and eagle prophecy, but do you know where that originated from? And was it South America? Was it, or has it more, is it in its original state, or, probably it was in Spanish or I don't know, some other language.
Um, hmm. It's interesting. I can't remember which tribe or place that originated from. Do you know, Mel? You may not be there. I'm typing it in, see what we get.
Oh, maybe Mel didn't make it back in.
No, he's there.
He's there? Okay.
Yeah,
It
I had a
could.
kid that wanted to go to bed. Take her in. We know who the boss is around here.
Yep.
So my question, Mel, was
Yes.
we talk about the condor and the eagle prophecy. Do you know the origins of that? Was it South America? And
I know it's in a lot of tribes.
It does. I looked it up. It does say South America.
Does it?
Yeah.
I
The
know my.
prophecy, the
Aztec.
Quechua, that
Aztec.
Quechua, Queha,
What you?
and the Aymara, Aymara,
Don't know.
influenced by the Inca civilization.
Okay.
The
Yeah, that
condor is in
Maya.
the Andes, South America, and the eagle is in North America.
Well, yeah, yeah. It's. I know my Lakota family certainly was invested in it, but so was my Mayan family down in Central America. So I think it
Yeah.
just generally evolved. And then recently we added the Kiwi just for Christopher and his buddies down there. We already added the Quetzal.
Andean original prophecy that became pan-indigenous. That's
Okay.
that's what it says.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Thank you for considering us down here.
Absolutely. Always. I know we have the Quetzal for Central America. And that's the only ones I know. I've had other people ask, well, what about us? What bird? Well, pick one. Be an eagle or be a condor. Or go ahead and add your own. That's fine too. We don't want to put, I don't think, the entire bird population on the list. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
I call the raven.
Okay, raven works. Raven almost belongs there, yeah.
It is my family's name in England, so
Yeah,
I'll take it. I like it.
yeah, yep. I always like the ravens. And the crows, I like them both.
So I think, going back to what the youth were asking and where do we go from here and what do we do? We all came out. They were the biggest turnout in history for advocacy. And I know in my town I was ashamed at what I watched being written. Um, I was like, wow. It made me feel that that it's flabbergasting to me how people do not come from, we're human. Wow.
You mean negative stuff?
Yes, yes,
Well,
yes,
keep
yes.
yeah, that's true. But do keep in mind, and there's a fair amount of that. There's a hell of a lot of it going up. That's AI created and whatever else. They're not humans.
Mm.
And we saw this in Standing Rock, and we tracked down some of the people who were responding, and we found out which ones were not people at all. They were computer generated, and then we found out those just being paid by the oil companies. And I know a lot of that's going on here. Not all of it. There's some people who came on, yeah, really negative, and I knew who they were. And it's like, all right, good luck, God bless, block. And
Yeah, so what's been coming to me also is speaking things into existence. Going back to the your words are wands, the works of Florence Scovel Shinn. And I love her works 100 years ago, and really understanding about the game of life and how to play it and the divine design of everything. And when we talk about geometries and sacred geometries and how we see how the littlest crystal in the salt is compared to the cosmos and the planets running. And we were, before this, we were talking about everybody feeling, a large amount of people feeling so off kilter, off center. It's like the Taurus is just like the entire Gaia is shaking us up. And there's where, listen, we know that there's a lot of interference. So it's important for us to remain on a path of perseverance and creating the narrative and speaking things into existence. So those of us that didn't make it out, that's okay. Some of us have to hold it just quietly to ourselves and say our prayers. So I don't want anybody, especially the youth, to think like, oh, I wasn't part of that. I didn't get there. I couldn't do that. So it didn't matter. What matters is your thoughts, your intention can create, we would come together to move clouds, to move hurricanes. I was taught early on by teachers, and the power of prayer and how we are so influential when it comes to being able to protect, but it starts within, right? Those are these teachings. If Jerry was here right now, he would sit there and talk about that over and over. Everything starts within. That's, resounds and in my head, So I think that's an important thing to think about and to know that one process that helps me is writing, journaling. And what I found is that I could remain on, this one trajectory and create this evidence. And this is what all the bad things that happened to me. And these were all the things. Or I could write poetry. And I've done both. And as the more I wrote what happened in my past or what's going on and the difficulties I may have, the more creative I've gotten. So for the youth especially, that's an important thing to do, is to be able to also, you need your creativity just as much as you need your advocacy, just as much as you need your quiet time, just as much as you need to be still.
yeah, and someone, the youth counselor, saying, with the way we've been taught, we knew we were there even if we were not there. And that's the way to look at it. If your heart was there, you were there.
I was
Yeah.
so I was going to try to share an image, and it was right along with what you was talking, Melissa. This morning, Daniel and I put out our little weekly thing about breath and focusing on the breath. and it was pretty much hand in hand. And we wrote, "Spring is here." So take a deep breath, hold it, and breathe out with power, visualizing all your hopes and dreams. You must be able to see them to become them. So take a breath, hold it in, and let every breath you breathe be about the greatness, the difference that you're making in the world for the rest of the week. So you was talking about speaking it into an existence, and we was talking about the visualization as you take that breath, which is sacred. And when you take that breath and that focus, it's like an amplification of power. Like that frequency, when you give that chime and it goes and it resonates and that frequency goes on. The same with that thought, with that intention, with that breath. All right, I shut up. Feathers back.
No, that's my line, Mel. That's right. You can borrow it. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Um, I had a lot of people, as I posted around for our groups, the the rallies, and I was posting places where you could go to find out where yours was. I had a lot of people messaging back saying, well, I just had my leg operated on. I can't get out there. Oh man, what a failure I am. And I'm paraphrasing. And that's what I was making clear. No, not at all. Not at all. Matter of fact, usually my word to them is, no, we saw you. If they came afterwards, we saw you. You were there. You were present. And yeah, that's what it's about. It's not, there's only one way to do things. Some of that's what's gotten us in trouble in the past. There's lots of ways to do things. And do the best we can. There's times I can't get out there. There's times my arthritic knees hurt so bad I just can't do it. And so I'll be doing it online and sharing what there is. Well, here comes Valerie again. Let's hope it's her. Yeah, it is.
Is there a different link? Because Grandma Mary's trying to get on too, and she
Yeah,
can't.
I stuck it in the announcement I did in the Gathering of Eagles. For some reason, it messed up the link when I scheduled it. I can put it here if you want to give it to her.
That would be great. Yes, please.
Let me find out how to. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Yeah, for whatever reason, it did not use my personal one. I clicked on it, but it must have just assigned a random. It's done that a couple times. And it's too late to change it now. That's it. That one's working because I took it right off of here.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to stick it up in the group again, too. Of course, it's going to be hard because we won't know who's trying to get in. All right, let's see what happens. Oops. Okay. So the group in Pine Ridge, I think it's the general group, I'm not sure. They heard, that was Melissa, that this was the second, or no, now this is the largest public showing up of its sort. Yeah, gathering, showing, okay. They want to know what was it before, and it was the first Earth Day. I said that last week, but maybe you guys probably forgot. It actually was the first Earth Day. Very different in purpose and meaning, of course. But in a way it's not, because all around creating with love and in a positive way. And then there were a couple other big ones. I believe the third one was the previous No Kings rally. And Yes, the next one is already being planned. The date's not firm yet. I'll put it up. When I get a firm date, I'll put it up. But it is being planned, and we're going to shoot to. It's pretty aggressive, but everybody wants to shoot to double the number. We're 18 million people. That'll be a ton of people. Even this time, that represents, what is it, one in 500 or 1 in 50? I can't remember. 1 in 500, I think. It's a lot of people. It's for a single event. It's getting near that tipping point. A few programs ago, I think we talked about it. There is this historical fact that when I don't remember the exact percentage, 3.5, I think, something like that, percent of the population show up at any one time for something. What they wanted is what was accomplished. It could no longer be stopped. And it's happened again and again in history. I never knew about it until a friend sent me the material on it, and I went and looked, and it's accurate. We were very, very close to that. If there was a couple more million people show up, we'd be over that tipping point. And then historically, there's no way to stop it. I personally don't think there is anyway. I think we are beyond that point. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And what do we do with it? How do we handle it in a good way? Melissa, you're talking about negative comments. I also, sadly, saw too many negative comments about those who would block us. I've said from the beginning, if we have to become those who are walking in dark and hate in order to beat them, we've won nothing. We've just changed groups. And so I was sorry to see. I get it. It's hard not to get angry when we look around what's happening. But it's also important, I think. And to quote Mel, I'll shut up now and put the stick in the middle.
Says the peace chief. I think that's hysterical. No, we don't want to even speak like that, right? I will just pass the stick. We have to watch our language, right? I think it's so important. But yeah, it's so important. I think that this is why I love the nervous system regulation, because that's what happens. People just get stuck in that whirlwind of energy, of negativity. And this is what I was watching an old video of Carolyn Mace earlier. And, she's that really amazing medical intuitive who started her own school and worked, diagnosing people with physical ailments with Dr. Norm Shealy. And she's just talking about grace and, we can become more aggressive with one another. And what is that going to get us? It ping pongs back and forth, and it just grows and grows and grows. And that's not the way to be at all. I mean, we really need to take this is the course I took last year in seminary, political theology and nonviolence, Gandhi and King, and understanding, what was behind all of that. And everything comes down to, and this was, the argument between the caste systems and back and forth, these letters that we read, by poets, Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore, and these letters back from between him and Gandhi, and just hearing that, and it brings me back to what I was just talking about with the being creative in the poetry. That goes hand in hand with peace movement, because we need to become in harmony. We need to become in rhythm. Our energy has to, and unless we can do that, it goes back to Maya Angelou, another civil rights poet, right? People will forget what you said, forget what you did, but never forget how you made them feel. This is what we need to do. This is what the mother is telling us. We need to get back to our heart center. And how do we do that? It's in groups like this. Maybe it's in Sacred Journey. It's in the medicine that that all of the ancients and the indigenous and everyone across the world, and that's what we go back to when we're in these healing circles, whether we're in lodges or we're in the woods or we're in the Amazon or we're in a yoga studio in New York City, on wherever we are. You know, we know what is it? It's the drum, it's the frequency, it's the vibration, it's the heartbeat, it's love. Talking stick in the middle.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's the global drum circle tomorrow is about peace and healing and advancement. And that'll be, we have it set so everyone drums from 2 p.m. to 3:30 their time. So it goes on for 24 hours. And those are powerful. Yes, ceremonies are powerful. The day after the march, Sunday, some of us got together and did a ceremony down at the Montezuma's well here, which is a sacred spot. And boy, we could still feel the energy from the day before. The day before was action. Thing at the well was prayer and ceremony. Today we're back, well, I guess this one's education. So yeah, they add up. I see the hand of the kiwi on the horizon.
Yeah, I'm going to run out of time to say anything. I've got somebody just at the door. So I'll put the talking stick back in the middle.
Okay. Valerie.
Well, I'm switching topics a little bit, but you had brought up, Jim, which is true, that there's a lot of unearthing of memories that are cropping up. And it seems just across the board in everyone's psyche, kind of like resurfacing old memories and such like. I'd like to hear your take on what do you think this is all about? Is it the purification prophecy of the Hopi? What do you think is going on? So that's my question.
For me or in general?
I I think both. I
Okay,
think
good.
it's individual, but then I think it's broader too.
Um, for me, I think it's definitely, I really think we have to clear out everything right now. Things from this life, possibly previous lives, to step into that new energy. And boy, I'm going through it big time too. So yeah, I get it. And I've done a lot of things in this life, so things keep coming back at me, and it's like, but I don't want to let that go. And it's not letting them go. It's just put them back where they belong. Put them in the library somewhere. So I think that's part of it. Let's see what else. I'm also thinking. My teacher, John Two Bears, he probably would have answered this with, "Oh man, how the hell do I know?" So, who wants to go next?
All right, Brother Jim. I spoke with Bertram out at. He thinks, and some of the others and the grandmothers I talking to, they believe we on the precipice of the change, that it is happening right now. The transition with everything that's going on around the world, there is a major energy being shifted, and this is the time of the prophecies, the rainbow warrior. We're seeing all these prophecies of many nations, and not just the red nations, but other nations, First Nations around the world. They are experiencing this as well. So the grandmothers of Mu in New Zealand and all of those, they are on top of this change, and they all believe that we are right there at the verge of a major shift transpiring, and this is the time that we all must focus together. And it's like when I started that prayer, to coming together as one, being of one mind and one spirit. And I made a kind of a jokingly thing this week when I said, you may not be a rainbow warrior if you can't sit down and have a conversation with a Christian, or you may not be a rainbow warrior if you can't sit down and talk with someone of the red road or another faith. It's not the ideologies, but it is the commonalities that we have. That if we're going to make peace and we're going to work together, these are the things that we have to work on. And with fuel prices and everything that's going on, we now have to get back down to basics. And this is what the red nations and all are really good at. They've always been survivalists and making it on their own through genocide and everything else. And with that being said, it is now that time of manifestation. So I personally believe we're living in that change. Talking with the Codex guys that I've worked with World Hereditary, they believe that we are that. And that's why last June they did the ceremonies with the eighth fire for the emergence of the rainbow warriors of the earth. So I believe we're there. And those here and now, this is exciting times we're living in because we are the change. And, you know, we got the changing out of the old guard, but we got the young ones coming in, and this is all realigning with the ancestors and then now to the generations to come. So I believe it's happening. Personal opinion, yeah. So, and with all the transitions that we are personally seeing in our lives, Jim, you and I, we've lived, you know, we've been through quite a lot in our time. I remember in college wearing my black armband and going to D.C. up on the bus. I didn't do a lot of them, but I did a few of them. So, but we're in that change, and choose your wars wisely. You know, we're rainbow warriors, and we're about peace. But the second part of that name is warrior. And that means we hold the line for that which we true and that which we believe in. Feather back to you.
Yeah, absolutely right. Spot on, I think. The Kogi, likewise, they've stopped going out for a little bit because we are right on the edge of this now. And so they're down in the caverns, getting their next directions from the Mother and Creator. And so are some of the other around the Sami who are doing the same thing up there in northern Norway and the other cold areas. Yeah, I think we are too, and that's what I was taught. So even this discomfort we feel, and it could be I was really uncomfortable most of today. Can be very uncomfortable, but that's because we are clearing out and then refilling. So yeah, I'm with that completely. And there's a reason that some of us have walked long enough to have witnessed some of these things that happened, because now we can speak about it. We didn't know at the time, at least I sure didn't, what the heck was going on and what I was looking at. But having been at Woodstock, having protested Vietnam, and having my head opened up because I was throwing bricks back, and then walking with Dr. King peacefully, we saw those differences, and now we see it reopening, but there's a lot more of us. And anybody who plays this and thinks there's not enough of us now, you're looking at the other end of the microscope, I think. There's, I don't know, 100 times more than there was. Well, easy. I mean, there were not many of us then. We were there early to witness, to do what needed to be done, and now we're here, and it's just, we are the masses now, and that's perfect. Yeah, thanks for that. That's great perspective. Anyone else want to put into that one?
I'd like to just add one more thought. I think it's really more on a personal level, but it might be broader. I'm not sure. What I think I'm supposed to do as these memories, thoughts, whatever they are resurfacing, feelings, I think I'm supposed to learn to be grateful for them and then release them. That's what I think. But some of it is real hard to be grateful for. Some painful memories that I thought, they're like 30, 40 years old ago. So strange that they're resurfacing now. And sometimes it's really hard to think about how to be grateful. But I do see that it made me who I am today, um, if that makes sense. So that's my thought.
Yeah, I think it makes total sense. Absolutely. We've all gone through a lot, and a lot of it was not easy. It was painful. Some of it I wish I could repeat and do it a little differently, but that's okay. It's neither here nor there. We learned. Um, I'm getting back from the youth council again. This is an interesting one. So what do we do? What do I want to do? What do you? Oh, okay, got it. All right, so paraphrasing, because I just popped up a whole long paragraph. Um, how do we release some of these old pains, some of these old angers? What did you do around Vietnam, Jim? Okay, I think we younger ones seem to be better at it than our parents and our parents' parents. Okay. Wow. I can only talk for me. When I protested in Vietnam, I was an angry warrior. And it wasn't until I marched with Dr. King that I started to have some second thoughts. And when I saw some of my friends come back from Vietnam in body bags, I was even angrier. And I didn't understand. And I still have friends who are on the wall in Washington, D.C. I still have friends who are suffering the symptoms and everything from the war. I have a friend who's been suffering from Agent Orange since the war. So we see all that, and how do we release it? I don't know. For me, I'm mixed heritage, so I'm Romani Gypsy, and the Romani were persecuted and murdered as well. That's why some of them came here to get away from that. And of course, my Native American blood, same thing. But I'm glad, I love that little, maybe it's easier for you than those before you. Hopefully we're learning a little bit each time. And it's not a matter of, for me, it's not a matter of forgetting, but it's a matter of, okay, we need to move forward now. Can we actually move forward if we hate others? And I try to remember that everybody at one time or another, every culture at one time or another, was an aggressor against somebody. So it's not easy. And I think maybe that's part of the emptying out. I know it is for me. I've emptied out things. I actually fought emptying them. I didn't want to release them. And that's part of my nature, because I can be stubborn as hell. But when I would get rid of it, I would feel much better. Okay, now there's room for something else. I still feel the joy and the pleasure from those things, but they're not stopping me from moving ahead. I hope that helps, guys. Yeah.
I think that we need to put things into perspective. I know for me, being a social worker, being a teacher, therapist, but also a child that grew up. So I may not have come from a history of, similar to everybody, but I lived in my own war zone as a child, with domestic violence and addiction and mental illness rampant in our family, like horrifying. And so I had a rented home, and we had a roof over our heads, and we weren't being taken from our families, like many, we hear so many different stories, and I've worked with so many different people who've had severe trauma histories, I don't want to name all of it, but of severe trauma. And I think and people being disinherited, and you name it, right? I think what's helped me personally, and what I can talk from 25 years holding space for others healing in that way as a therapist. This is a Broadway play. If you believe in karma and you believe in reincarnation, and you believe in the evolution of the soul, and that the way it was explained to me very early on, it's like the movies. We're actors in this play, and in this act, we play. I'm the social worker. I'm the mom. I'm the child who grew up and with adverse childhood experiences that, according to, what the statistics say, I really should not be here anymore. I should be close to death. The mortality rate rises when you have adverse childhood experiences. And on that scale of 1 to 10, I'm a 9. I'm an anomaly in one way. So I think that your thoughts and the hope and the faith and those virtues that we learn that we learn through story. When Elder Jerry comes on and he speaks a story, and it resonates, and it makes us remember that we are all the same. And when we can look at these experiences as, what is the lesson? What are you trying to teach me? How are you a mirror to the parts that are unhealed in myself? And it's not an easy path. I just turned 50, and I can't tell you, I don't know what happened, but I've been able to have an eagle's view since then, in the last several months. I really have, and I think that it's so interesting that we talk about these gathering of eagles here, because we are, and you youth, you'll remember, and that's why I love doing the meditative work and the journey work and the quests, and seeing what your vision is, and why am I here? What is my role in this play or in this act? And when you can begin to identify just what your mission is here, things kind of make a little bit more sense. Mine is one of somebody to hold space for others. Mine is one to be that person where people are like, what? All that happened to you? How are you not locked up? Really? Oh my gosh, are you kidding? And that's just it. We when you remain positive in your thoughts, and I'm not just talking like that, but it really does work. Those affirmations and staying in the light. If that helps. This is temporary. It's an illusion. It really is.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and yeah, it helps a lot. But there's so much to that. It's so many of the things I was told were going to happen are happening now. And for a while, I thought, well, I was told I was going to be here, but I'm not going to make it because I'm getting older. But it caught up to me, and as you were talking, I started to laugh because I remember it like around 30, maybe 35, and I was doing a lot of teaching then. I hadn't really entered my spiritual road too much, but I remember sitting back and there was a discussion going on about hitting the year 2000, and I went, "Oh, shit. If we hit the year 2000, I'd be 50. I'm never going to make it that old." It seems funny now, but I honestly believed that back then. And I think a lot of us did. And yet, you're right. I mean, here we are. We've gone through what we've gone through. I know it's an old cliche, but whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And there's so much truth in that. Oops, I see the Kiwi has relighted. Shall we bless him in?
Thank you for your kindness and generosity.
Very welcome.
Yeah. One of the big things I find with the stuff that we go through, the ones of us that come through have made a shift from focusing on the problem. We realize that's not where the solution lies, and we focus on the solution. So we focus away from the problem and we look towards solution. And that's what gets us through a lot of this. And that's where the learning comes. Because every step we take, we find it has a step beyond that. So healing isn't a one-step journey. often it's a progressive path that we don't know when it stops, but we know how it keeps moving forward, and we take that journey with it. And I'm right in there with what you were saying, Melissa. It's can seem a hell of a thing to go through in their younger years, family-centered trauma, because that's supposed to be our safe place. They're the ones we're supposed to love. And when that love and that sense of family is betrayed, it takes a lot of healing. So, yeah, talking stick in the middle.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad you came back when you did, because I was hoping you would respond to what Melissa said, because I know you had similar things. And yeah, I mean, we all were put upon in one way or another. I was an oddball, always, growing up. Family, school, peers. And so I was harassed a lot, to the point where I just shut down. And I made up a pretend me that was different and in many ways less than I was. But again, I learned a hell of a lot having to do that. And now when people come to me, a lot of the younger ones who come to me for help, it's because of things like that. So I know how they're feeling. And as those of us, I know it's that way with you, Melissa, but those of us who've gone through these things, you can sure help someone much better if you have a real gut understanding of what they're going through, at least partially. Nothing's identical. Valerie.
I think about the crow, and the crow raven has come to us, and consider how the crow gathers the remains, the leftover bits of debris, ingests it, and then transforms that to energy. And I think that that's very much like the residues of our memories and things that are very painful, that it's part of what we're doing. We're ingesting those, but we're transforming them into better energy, better ways that we would have not known had we not gone through what we had gone through. And I want to go back to the comment of the youth. I do believe that it is more difficult for the older generation, because I believe ego gets in the way, where we don't want to acknowledge things for what they are. But it is a time of sifting our hearts and purifying our hearts. And no one is immune, I don't think, because I've heard the same comment from youth, adults of all ages. Even my mom, who's 83 years old, she talks about, it's strange that I'm having these memories from like when I was dating, you know. I'm like, Mom, I'm hearing this from everyone. So I think it is something that is truly happening widespread, where we're all having these memories resurface, and it's calling us to, kind of like the crow, digest it. And like in my own personal note, I feel that I need to be grateful for it. I acknowledged it, but I don't think I was ever grateful um, for the experience. And I'm working on that, trying to get to that place. So, talking stick in the middle, that's my thoughts.
Good thoughts. Good thoughts. So here's a coming from, yeah. So the youth council speaking through Tom, and then he says he'll have something to say. The youth council. Okay. First of all, they're thanking us, we elders, because this is a different way of interacting, of being together, as they say. They mean interacting. We are listening to them, and yeah, I think it was a huge gift when they asked if they could be a youth council. And that's something I have come up against in the past. And it tags into what Valerie was saying. When after I started on a spiritual road, mostly on the red road, I would have elders ask me, and I was teaching then too, teaching within the systems. Why do the young people listen to you? We can't even get them to come and hear what we have to say anymore. And a lot of what I used to share with them, because it's just my way of teaching, was I don't know if anybody is willing to do it the old way and sit at the feet of the elders and just hear what they have to say. We want a back and forth. We want a dialogue. And those who began to do that, their students came. And I think that's really important, really important. I was blessed. My primary teacher, John Two Bears, he was amazing. And he did that with me, and I had more doubts than you could list in an encyclopedia. I didn't even know I had native blood at that point, so I'm like, why me? Why do you want to work with me? So, yeah, I think that is really important, and thank you, by the way, for those words. I think this is a really good sharing, and I think it is going back and forth, and we're all learning. And that's a key part. Mr. Christopher.
Yeah, just sharing what I've picked up in conversations with friends of mine who do astrology and that. At the early part of this year, we're in the beginning part, the energy is bringing up any unresolved issues, not just surface or middle stuff. It's like bringing up the last vestiges of stuff to be cleared. So problems aren't carried forward with us. We come from a place of resolution. We come from a place where this feels done now and complete. So we find that sense of wholeness within ourselves. It's part of astrology. It's also part of the fire horse year from that point of view. And I don't know how many other traditions would add into it as well. But yeah, there's a perspective from there. For me, I feel that is what's happening. We're being brought back to the mother, and we're being brought back to listen, because everything is pointing us that way. That's what we have to pay attention to, not for just for our own survival, but humanity's survival and many other creatures whose lives are dependent on our behaviour, or they're at the effects of our behaviour. So, talking stick in the middle.
Yes, and I think from my journeys and the people I've worked with, that goes through most cultures that I've experienced. I know I just spent the last few days having some wonderful time with some of my Japanese friends, and it's definitely in the Yoa cultures for sure. So I think it cuts across all of them, and it's a biggie. It is what most people, especially the young people, are coming to me for now, to try to understand it. And I'm trying to do more group stuff around that, so you can at least get a little understanding. Because a lot of fear gets generated. A lot of, well, what am I here for? Why am I going through this? And I can remember when I went through it. I don't want to do it again. At that level, anyway. Okay, so and Tom is saying, yeah, on the res, it can still be very rigid at times. And now we must change some. And many of us know that, and we're working to do that. Without losing who and what we are, we can move into what we can be. Ooh, I like that, Tom. Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. Couldn't agree more. Nothing is going to be exactly like it was because everything's on its head. You know, as Mel was saying earlier, we're right on the knife's edge right now. Right on the knife's edge. And we're making some huge decisions, and any tools we can get to help us, we need to use. I'm sorry, take it, Mr. Chris.
Yeah, just adding to what Tom said there, it reminds me how when we really resolve something, we no longer resent it. We don't feel any division from it. We see the learning from the experience. And some experiences, I have a lot of people who say, oh, you can never get over such and such. But everything is a place where we find peace with it, because the empowerment we've found through coming through that experience and finding wholeness with it, we're no longer diminished by the experience. We've actually become whole from the experience, because we had to find the part of ourselves we never would have looked for if we hadn't been pushed as much as we had been. And coming back to that space where wholeness, balance exist is a huge thing. And I find when I'm going into something, if I haven't got to unconditional love, I have not got to the end of it yet. And when I come to that, I can understand the whole process, the lesson, the universe this lesson is in, and how we all come together in this thing called family. So, talking stick in the middle.
Yep, well said as always. Valerie.
I want to return back to the image of the crow once again. Um, that leftover carcass that it chews on becomes part of it. It transforms. It becomes part of the crow. So the lesson is we take these things and we use them for good. Um, Things that may seem bad actually are hidden good, has hidden good in them. Um, then the second image I want to share is that you brought it up, Jim, already, that we're preparing for the new world. And I think that is why this is global, this experience of resurfacing the old and uh, in the new. It's the opposites. We're kind of like we've got a backpack on, we're loaded down with rocks, and we're unaware of it because we've carried it so long. We've forgotten that we have these rocks in our backpack, and it's time to unload them. The mother has brought it to our attention. You have rocks in your backpack, that you need to deal with. Um, so we need to be thankful that Mother has brought this to us and reminded us we have rocks that we need to unload. So that was the other part. And then actually I have a third one, um, is that I have thought about the condor and the eagle prophecy, and I don't know if I'm reading into it, but this is kind of a new idea. I think it's talking also about the South on the medicine wheel, which is often representative of the youth, um, and the North, the elder coming together, the North and the South coming together. And I started thinking about this actually as we were at the protests, because as I looked around, the No Kings protests, I looked around, I saw older people like me, a lot of us, and I saw younger people, a lot of us, and kind of an absence of the in between. I mean, they were there, but not as large of a number. So I saw visibly right in front of my eyes the older generation, the younger generation coming together. So I don't know if I'm stretching the meaning of that prophecy, but I think it's a possibility. So I know that was a lot. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, that's good, and that's often the case. The older and the younger seem to be at these times of change in more numbers than those in the middle. Those in the middle are doing other things. Also, they're building and making and creating. They're right in the middle of their walk this time. That's what I've been told anyway. So here's an interesting question. Grandfather Mel mentioned being there early in the beginning, being there, we think he means the 60s. How did you who were there then, how did you break the blinds? How did you break the ropes of the past? Ooh.
Oh boy, that's a good one, brother.
Yep.
I had a very scattered childhood. My ancestry is very, very mixed. My dad's side grandfather was a full-blooded German Jew, hard, strict man. I mean, he beat the kids, and that they did, and so the kids received. He married a full-blooded, red-headed Irish Catholic. He did convert to Christianity, and my dad became an army chaplain. So I was raised with a regiment to begin with in my early days, and when Dad came out of the army, he became a Baptist evangelist. And I was being preached to all the time, but there was answers that I was not getting. And I was looking for these answers because I was told that if you didn't follow this path, you was in trouble, you was going to hell, you were damned. Those things. And Creator was a just and loving Creator. And I started thinking about all the people on the Amazon and all the other places. And they never heard that name, that colonialistic Jesus name. And I'm not slamming, and I'm going to follow up with that in just a moment with some other things. But I couldn't believe that a just and loving Creator was going to condemn people because they didn't profess a certain name. So it made me start digging and start researching. And then I found out that in the Aramaic alphabet, there's not a J. So the one that's in the scripture that they preach to you the hell about never existed by that name, but under Yeshua and other names he did. However, it wasn't for history's sake, it wasn't to the 1450s, 1452, 1455, when they created the Gutenberg Bible. It was the very first edition that was done in English, and that's when they created the J in that name. So I believe that that one, walked among us. Being raised in the church, I had it beat in me, and I mean, they believe spare the rod and spoil the child, and I got the crap beat out of me when I was young, bruises, and I mean, I was embarrassed to go to gym for the bruises on my thighs and all. But I started looking at 20-some years, 22 years of his life was left out of the scriptures that they preach. They don't tell you about, and they can't explain it. Well, let's look at history. His dad was not a poor man. He was the lead carpenter for the king. His mother came from royalty. So he had good schooling. He was educated, and he traveled. And when he traveled, what was in the scriptures that he went to the temples, and when he spoke, they was amazed at his knowledge. Well, if you keep going and start looking at history, it weaves into the Tibetans. And then it weaves in here. And if in the caves that was put off limit, Hopi land, that was put off limits in 1929 after the Smithsonian Institute did they were doing archaeological finds, and they found all these plates that was in the caves. And the United States government banned people from going there. Drones are banned from going there. The truth is, if it got out, it would destroy the entire narrative that we were all taught.
So I believe that you should open your mind and you should look, and when you know the truth, it'll speak to you. But let me tell you this: inside those caves, there was tablets and there was Egyptian hieroglyphics. And not only is it in Arizona, but in Nevada, Ohio, and there's a few other caves that has all of these type of imagery in there, and it shows the one. And so I believe that he walked among us and taught us a way of life, a way of working together, not preaching a religion. So I was able to get away and find my balance when I started seeing these. And I believe that when your truth comes, you know your truth. And so that's how I got out. I had an open mind and I was hungry because I wanted to know, I wanted to not be limited. And so I took those blinders off. It's like a horse, it's got blinders on. All it knows is what's in front of it. But when you open up and you expand and you look at thought and you can think and you can feel, that's like the old days, your ancestors. They was able to sense things and know things by the elements and what was around them. Well, today we got TV and radio and everything else, and your answer of what you're thinking about may be in a commercial. It might be on a billboard or something. If you're open, those answers come to you. It's like a small voice, but you know it and you know it's true. I hope that answered that. Stick back, brother.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. Um, yeah, I think some of us were put here early this time around. And just up until the point of our generation, and including our generation for many, we believed everything that was told. If a politician said something, well, of course it was the truth. If the church said something, hallelujah, praise the Lord, it's the truth. If a teacher said something, it's the truth. If any elder or older person said something, it's the truth. I really think we were the first generation that started to crack that open. And I think Mel was hitting a lot of good points of why. We were questioning things. We were seeing things. Things were happening around us. The peace generation. Hippies. Many of us were hippies. I wish I still had some of my jackets. Yeah, right? The entertainment industry. The music was all around, opening us up. And it's starting to happen again. I'm really glad to see that. And so it was our road to walk that in the beginning. I think many of us were rainbow warriors here first. We were like the demos. We were the test cases. So anything that went wrong, they'd learn and make it correct. And I'm thankful I got to play that role. And now they're asking about also, what about personal attacks? Whew, you guys are on it tonight. Yeah, and Tom's saying, of course, Standing Rock, but there's been many other times. Yeah, from the beginning, personal attacks has been part of it. I don't know why. Whoever would be against what we were saying, of course. If you're in a place of hate, it's real easy to hate others. And often those who were standing against us hate it. I'm thinking, especially right now, of Dr. King and marching with him. I have never felt or experienced hate at that level and that intensity again. It was unbelievable. You could feel it like a palatable thing on you. I didn't know what it was. I was a puppy dog. I think I was 16. But it was certainly there. And that's going to happen, guys, until we get through this and set some new ways. And yes, in Standing Rock, we got it a lot. Those of us who were visible or took on a role that became visible, we got attacked all the time. Phony stories, nonsense made up, fingers pointed, just trying to turn us against one another, because that's what had worked for generations. It's not going to anymore. They're doing it again now. I'm being personally attacked again now, and many I know are as well. You just walk through it. You don't respond to it. Don't try to fight it. Just keep walking your walk. And if it's the righteous walk and it's where you're supposed to be walking, you'll get through it. It may be unpleasant. I could tell you a couple stories now that are out there. It's like, huh? Where'd that come from? But it's just, don't give it energy. Don't feed it. It's that old story of, many of you probably know it, of the two wolves we have inside of us. The white wolf and the black wolf. Dark wolf and the light wolf. And the young brave is asking an elder, so, boy, I try to be in the light, but I occasionally do dark things. How do I make sure which one? And the answer is it's whichever one you feed. So as we go through this, feed your positive energy. Feed your love energy. Feed your trust energy. All those things. And that's the one that will be dominant. We'll still carry that. We're humans. We're not perfect. Now, a few think they are, but they're not. So feed that light wolf. Feed that energy. Thank you. These are great questions, guys. I'm really glad we have this recorded. Wow. Whoops. Anyone else on this point? Because then we have a request. Oh, Melissa.
Here we are.
You knew. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see if, I think Chris might be on this. Chris, something on this, finishing this point first?
I was looking at it a bit, but I can defer to the card reading if we need to. Yeah, we'll go to the card reading.
Okay. It is your call. Okay, Melissa.
I like this. You know, I've been having some physical things occur as well. I will say one thing to just add on before we get into the snake. That's who jumped out. Is the brighter the light you shine, the more bugs you attract, like a street lamp on a hot summer night. That's been my tagline for years. That's just what I hear, you know, and that's it, you know. It's just so it's funny because earlier I pulled a card and I didn't share it. It was from the bee cards, the soul whispered, and it was the butterfly. I held it up, but I didn't speak it. It was transformation. This is my soul whispered. One of my students sent that to me years ago. But transformation and my counseling center, that's my tagline. Also, be your own transformation. You've had the magic all along. Those are the two that resonate, and that bug and the street lamp. So the snake come crawling. There's fire in your eyes. Bite me, excite me. I'll learn to realize. The poison transmuted brings eternal flame. Open me to heaven to heal me again. I love that. You know, the archetype that was coming to me earlier today was, I don't know if you're familiar with Erwin Rommel, one of the greatest war strategists to walk this earth in our time. World War I, World War II, there's countless documentaries on him. But he was poisoned by Hitler. And I just kept tasting, like, it was like a burning almost in my mouth the last 2 weeks, like on my tongue and then the roof of my mouth. And it's definitely some type of activation. And then when I thought about it and went deeper, and it was like, yeah, this is what this is. We can continue to play these out, or we can really be strategic and take that bird's eye view, that eagle view. And that's what, for me, tasting the poison was about, as being strategic, like Rommel, and calling that archetype in. So, snake medicine people are very rare. Their initiation involves experiencing and living through multiple snake bites, which allows them to transmute all poisons, be they mental, physical, spiritual, or emotional. The power of snake medicine is the power of creation, for it embodies sexuality, psychic energy, alchemy, reproduction, and ascension or immortality. And that's what's going on in this world. Everybody wants to be immortal. They're going to step on everybody's back because they want to have the fountain of youth, and we're not going to get into the gory details of what we've been shown, but the transmutation of the life, death, rebirth cycle is exemplified by the shedding of snake's skin. And we're just coming out of this. We were just leaving the year of the snake, and now in the fire horse. It is the energy of wholeness, cosmic consciousness, and the ability to experience anything willingly and without resistance. There's that grace again. Get out of the way and allow the grace. That's the path of the mother. It is the knowledge that all things are equal in creation, and that those things which might be experienced as poison can be eaten, ingested, integrated, and transmuted if one has the proper state of mind. This is how we see those people walking on coals, going to those wild events where everybody's like, yes, you can all do it. Or I have a friend who does psychokinesis. She runs spoon bending courses. Thoth, the Atlantean who later returned as Hermes and was the father of alchemy, used the symbology of the two snakes intertwining around the sword to represent healing. That's the caduceus. That in the Magdalene manuscripts, I love that book, is the Ra and the Ka body. That's the Kundalini awakening that we speak of. It's the rising of the serpents. The Ida e Pingala. There's all these words for it in all different cosmologies. Complete understanding and acceptance of the male and female within each organism creates a melding of the two into one, thereby producing divine energy. The medicine teaches you on a personal level that you are a universal being. Through accepting all aspects of your life, you can bring about the transmutation of the fire medicine. The fire energy, when functioning on the material plane, creates passion, desire, procreation, and vital physicality. On the emotional plane, it becomes ambition, creation, resolution, and dreams. On the mental plane, it becomes intellect, power, charisma, and leadership. When the snake energy reaches the spiritual plane, it becomes wisdom, understanding, wholeness, and connection to the Great Spirit. If you have chosen this symbol, there is a need within you to transmute some thought, action, or desire so that wholeness may be achieved. This is heavy magic, but remember, magic is no more than a change in consciousness. Become the magician or the enchantress. Transmute the energy and accept the power of the fire.
Good one. And you know, the snake and the butterfly have a lot of similarities. They're both rebirth. They both come back in a different form. The snake comes back larger, and the butterfly moves from land to air. So yeah, they're both rebirth and growth. So that was interesting. You got them both today. When you were talking about Rommel was also known as the desert fox. And I can remember my father talked about him. My father was in World War II, and he talked about him. And yeah, a lot of similarities to today. He would not bow down to Hitler and his absurd group, and so he was murdered. And, you know, we kind of have a person like that today.
Poisoned.
Yeah, poisoned, right, in the old way. But I remember reading about him when I was young because he was apparently quite skilled at planning. That's back when I was in my head all the time. Didn't know how to go into my heart yet. But yeah, he was an interesting historical figure. Something else was coming. Will you? I don't know what it was. That's good. Anybody else? We have a little time left. I know we got a late start, but we still got a really full program in, I think. Chris?
I'd
Yeah,
like to
sorry.
just point out
Yeah,
one thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there.
nope.
Uh, just wanted to quickly mention the image of the fire coming in along with the snake. And I think on the youth fire. And I think there's something special there still. Often see it in my prayers. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good one. I just asked him if it was still burning. Chris, did you want to add? Pardon me, something you had your hand up for before, or are you complete?
Yeah, I could throw a quick bit in. One of the things I find is we are being asked to change. And, we talk about it coming from the heart. And one of the things I find from coming from the heart, that original love source creation that we come from, one of its big qualities is it understands. There's no hate, there's no judgment, it just understands. And when you understand something, we know what steps to take. The steps appear for us to move forward. And it's one of the big things, a lot of people say, how am I going to love something? When we feel the conflict between love and hate or whatever else has come up for us about the way we were treated when we were young or in a particular occasion, we're still in the brain in that adversary part, love, hate, good, bad, right, wrong. It's all the world of duality. When you come into the heart, we find that unity that we've all got. And it's not a fluffy bunny unity. It's a unity that sees through all illusion. It's a unity that understands because of its openness. What I call true love is 100% open, and that's why it understands, because it experiences all of us and all our perspectives. And that is available to us when we come from that heart-centered place. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good. That's yes, the fire is still going, Valerie. They're still keeping the fire up all the time. They know they're meant to. They're not sure why, and they're not sure when that'll change. So the fire is going. The fire of the youth council, and we're all invited. By the way,
Just wanted to say thank you. And it's okay. I understand.
understand which.
And this is one of them. I also want to point out the fire is a perfect image of transformation
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely. And we are in the time of the eighth fire, so yeah, that shifting time. Well, another really good show. Either Valerie or Melissa want to close us out? We had Mel open us.
Well, if you like, I can do Violet Flame to close us out with some fire.
There you go. That's a good idea. Okay.
So just allow yourself to come to stillness, and you can just imagine your feet like tree roots firmly planted in the ground. And as we take a deep breath in, just allow for the beautiful crown on the top of your head to open up, and just see yourself as a channel of this beautiful divine light coming from our beautiful sun, coming through all the way down into our feet. And just allow ourselves to be the needle in that torsion field, to be that center. And around us we have a beautiful flame of transmutation, the violet flame. Beloved, I am presence bright, round me seal your tube of light. From ascended master flame, I call forth in God's own name, Creator's own name, and Mother's own name. Let it keep my temple free from all discord sent to me. I'm calling forth violet fire to blaze and transmute all desire, keeping on in freedom's name till I am one with the violet flame.
Thank you. Oh, just a couple quick announcements. I meant to put them in before we did that, but that's okay. Global Drum for Peace and Healing tomorrow. Anyone who is so inclined, whether you have a drum circle or not, you can drum yourself. It's from 2 to 3:30 p.m. your time, wherever you are. There's 30-some groups that I'm aware of so far that have signed up. So if you wish to drum, please join us. And tomorrow is also Mel's, you call it a podcast or a show?
We're bringing is we call it Rainbow Warriors 101.
That's right. Sorry.
It is a class.
Class. Okay.
I would invite the youth council and all to sit in, and we have leading experts in agro science. And Dr. Will has been working. He's got remediation of over thousands of acres at White Pine. They're doing cleanup in California with a gentleman by the name of Lance Bean. And tomorrow night, our discussion is going to be medicine for the plants. We always talk about plant medicine and how plants help us. Well, we want the plants to be healthy so that they give us what we need and what it provides to all the others that are in the earth. So we're going to have those research scientists on tomorrow night, and that'll be our conversation, medicine for the plants.
That's great, and that's Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And this time I made a note. Hopefully I'll jog over after the drum circle. And what else? Melissa's putting things up that are really awesome. And I think that's about it. Come back again next week if you found this useful or enjoyable or both. Spread it out there. Let people know. That's what all our works are for. Everybody doing anything right now. It's just put it out there. Once it's in this realm, in my belief, it's free to everybody. That's why it's there. Unless it states something on its own site. So thank you all. Much, much, much appreciated. We will take some steps next time to avoid people breaking in and to make sure that Facebook actually puts out there what I ask it to. But other than that, great show. Thank you all.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks, Kiwi.